as we come down the Ullman Straight. Yes, he is much closer.
Very, very close behind, under 0.2 of a second. That's going to come down to under 1/10 of a second if he decides to go for the move. He's going to think about it. A little bit of a Pruitt fade there from Krasowski as they go down into sunset.
Doesn't completely cover it off, though, and Fujita is through. He is our new leader coming off the final turn, but I don't know that he can hold it because Krasowski gets a great launch off the corner. He goes off to the right-hand side as Kazuki once again defends behind them. Olivier giving watch, and he's going to take advantage of it. He's going to try and poke his nose through to take second place off the hands of Daniel. It's not done yet. It carries on down into 3.
It keeps going here. Olivier trying to be later on the binders, and he's going to shut the door. That is Dominic Olivier up into P2. Krasowski demoted in 3 corners, 2 positions. Abner Acosta worked in on the high lane there on Josh Daniels to see if he's got anything. They're going to come out of the corner. Noah's Ark here, 2x2, and a big checkup. But here comes Josh Daniels thinking about making this 3 wide.
3 wide, and he absolutely sends it in deep. O'Brien tries to as well, but it's the high line that counts for the 28. No, it doesn't. It bites him. He falls backwards. Now the 77 back forward. And look at this. We didn't even account for Acosta. Acosta stuck through all of them, and he is going to manage to get up to 3rd potentially here. Sending it deep into 1. He's got it. Coming down into Sunset Bend, he's going to have to go around the outside. Pavolano, we've seen his defense before. He knows how to do this, but can he do it against Kwok? No, maybe not, because Kwok carries speed and just finds a gap around the outside. That'll give him the inside coming into turn 1. The job isn't completely done. He could maybe see an over-under from Michael as he takes it wide into the first turn.
Yeah, I think you're right. Looking as we set up, trying to come through here, we're on board with Raymond Day, looking around, trying to find a way to get through these guys, taking a look as they both defend deep onto the inside, holding enough ground to not make contact with the power down, and just making it around number 87, Peter Newhook. Oh, little contact there too. Little contact.
Little bit of contact, a little bit of off track there for Raymond Day, but he's able to keep everything gathered up back under him. But he's going to be a little bit compromised here as he tries to get by Peter Newhook going down into Verth. They are really trying to hold on to this here, working their way, and they're still side by side.
Oh, Raymond Day doing the best he can in a disadvantaged line, trying to come down into here. Look at that, just getting his nose ahead, holding on to that position on the outside.
Here comes Andy.
Seems to like that exit of that corner. The car handles it well. Aggressive defensive move from Gernot Frisha, almost pushing him off into the grass, but he's given just enough space, and a lot of wheel spin there from Frisha. Unfortunately, that puts him slow out of the horseshoe side by side. Coming up in an NASCAR bend, Mikko Lino trying to do it the hard way around, and he's got it. Tom Daly's win back in Silverstone was a testament to his consistency and tenacity. But the scant few corners there will ironically make it feel like practically an oval compared to a track today that actually does include an oval. Daytona's high banks will feel monstrous as it scoops up these tiny MX-5s, but let's see who has the knack of this unique style of racetrack as we get ready to watch round 2 of the Sunday Drivers' Cup. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Daytona's road course has been getting a lot of action in the real world, but in case any of our viewers aren't endurance racing fans, let's head to our track guide to introduce them. Welcome to the Daytona International Speedway. While many oval fans associate this Central Florida track with mainly NASCAR, the road course has gained just as much worldwide fame thanks to it hosting motorcycles and sports cars for decades. In fact, the flagship road race, the 24 Hours of Daytona, has become a major draw for drivers of all disciplines, many eager to have a go at endurance racing. The stats make this place sound relatively simple, with 12 corners on the regular road circuit and 14 on the NASCAR version, both spread amongst 3.5 miles. Indeed, a majority of the lap is spent on the oval portion, where you fly along the notoriously steep banking. But it's easy to underestimate the challenge presented to the drivers. The infield portion begins with the scary kinked entry of Turn 1. Not only is it the fastest part of the track, but the transition from the banking to the flat tends to upset the car as you slow it down. There's also the bus stop chicane on the backstretch. Added in the 80s, this is a tricky piece of circuit that punishes a poor exit severely, with it leading back into the latter half of the oval. As you'd expect, the long periods on throttle mean that drafting tends to play a factor in the racing. It also means passing isn't usually too great of an issue if you have the pace to catch someone. The more difficult thing is managing to gap your opponent so that they don't ride in your slipstream once you get by. With half a century of endurance racing collected among these walls, it's not unfair to say that road racers have just as much claim to call Daytona home. Fans who come to watch certainly won't be disappointed by the high speeds and fantastic thrills it invariably provides each year. Well, DJ, I hope our viewers are not sick of Daytona yet, because they got another half an hour of racing on it.
They do indeed, but they're in for a bit of a surprise because we are racing the Legacy Moto version of the track. So the traditional Western horseshoe that you see is not really going to be included here, and that's going to change things up quite a bit for these drivers. It's going to set up a little bit of an overtaking opportunity going down into Turn 4 off of the International Horseshoe potentially, but the biggest change is that the Le Mans bus stop is not really going to be as much of an overtaking zone as we normally see it, as turns 6, 7, and 8 really break up that long run that you'd normally see in around NASCAR 1 and 2. The one thing that will be the same, however, is diving into Turn 1 being your best potential overtaking zone. But as we've seen both in the real life and here on the sim recently, it can be very, very treacherous. You're pulling on the wheel as you're applying the brakes. You've got to be very, very careful. Very easy to lock up those front tires and send yourself just shooting off into the asphalt runoff.
I'm sure we'll get at least a couple of those throughout the race today. Now, let's take a look at the points, starting with, of course, the driver standings. And up at the top, Tom Daly was naturally your leader, Draycott, following with Gavin Dresser behind Tim. And there you can see on down to 25th with a single point for Aaron McGrath. And pole and fastest lap did go to Michael Ellett, and that puts him into the 9th spot. But we'll see if he can improve on his finishing position from last week, as he certainly didn't have the best of races overall. Now, let's take a look at the team points as well.
Over in those team points, it is Wampy Motorsports with about a 13-point lead, but we've got a very, very close battle for second with SimTech Racing and TGR both tied at 25, and Spirit 14 Racing a single point back from them, with iRacing Netherlands only 2 points back from them. You can see there just very, very close standings all the way down through the rest of the field. But as we said, Joe, only one race in the books here.
And, of course, little country pride involved in this series, as they have the Nations Cup, and Ireland is leading the United Kingdom, interestingly, on that. That should be a good battle between those two, with Spain in third. And you can see from there on down, the United States and Canada really having to play some catch-up this season at the start. Now, before we get to the racing, let's take a look at the race details for today's event. DJ, what do we have in store?
Well, Joe, we have got the standard 35-minute race out there, and drivers are currently on track right now for a 15-minute open qualifying session. It's going to be a 13-lap or 35-minute race, whichever comes first. Fixed setups for everybody, so this is all down to driver skill. It is a 20-round series, so lots of time to play for here. You do get some bonus points, though, 1 for pole and 1 point for fastest lap. So if you're not winning the race, that is something that you definitely want to hold on to over the course of this long season.
And over the course of this season, we'll want to have you make sure and check out the Majors Garage, home of free Baseline Plus setups. Get help from any of the garage coaches 24/7. Sign up now for awesome, affordable monthly subscriptions, telemetry, coaching, and more at majorsgarage.com. Or use our special discount code MajorsGSRC for 10% off. We have a link in the description below that directly applies our special offer. We take a look at the qualifying. They are just about halfway through pretty soon, and Kavisto actually just took the pole just now away from Kevany in the number 6. So Callie, the Finn, has found himself managing to go about 0.2 of a second quicker. Gotta think that a lot of the drivers are trying to get in a little bit of a slipstream like you see them doing right here to try and get that little bit more speed around the oval portion.
Oh, for sure, Joe. Coming around NASCAR 3 and 4, that is going to be absolutely mega. I think if you are running a lap by yourself, it is really, really going to hurt you. And because of the non-aerodynamic effect in these MX-5s, it doesn't really ill behoove you to follow close behind. You're not going to get a lot of that aero wash like you would if you were running around here in prototypes or open wheelers.
Indeed, as long as you find someone close enough on pace, I suppose that's all you really need. Just don't make contact with them. 0x will delete your lap. You can see this moto version a lot more windy there in the infield as they now come out onto the back stretch, where they'll come up to the newly named Le Mans chicane, and some of them dipping out of the way, I guess not wanting to give that slipstream to their rivals. Sander War and the number 7 finally gets one on the board. Only he and Brett Ride were trying to get a lap in out of our 35 drivers out there today. It looks like Brett Ride now also has one up, and a 15th position for the number 70. So nicely done there for him. We still have 4 minutes left to go in this qualifying, so still some time to try and get time in, but they're only lapping at essentially a little bit under 2 minutes, so they've got maybe 2 or 3 more laps left.
Yeah, they're going to need to get on it. And your 2 points leaders right now, Draycott and Daly, they are both down in 4th and 5th right now. So not looking necessarily like they're going to be able to pip their way to the fastest lap and get a nice bonus point for that as we focus in on Chaz Draycott right here, working his way around. Let's see if he's able to pick up a little bit of anything. Doesn't look like a fast lap there for Chaz. I think he actually had an off track as well. So he is certainly going to be held up, and that is Scotty Angelo there behind him trying to nip some of that draft.
So we check in on one of our drivers heading up towards the bus stop chicane. Sander Ware in the 7 looks like he is on a very good flyer right now. Remember, he had his first time lap last time through, had a lot of them deleted, which is easy to do in that Le Mans chicane there. And the Spirit 14 racing driver coming around to see what he can do this time by with looks like just about a second up. It's starting to go down a little bit though, so maybe didn't have the best run through that chicane there. And to the line, let's see if this Miata has been able to hold the speed up and go quicker than a 59.564 through the tri-oval. 58.9, definitely much better, and that is going to jump him all the way up into 11th.
We're seeing a lot of drivers be able to bump their way very high up here, Joe, just a benefit of that draft that they're able to pick up from everyone around them, including here as we focus in the just ahead of him, actually, the number 9 of Javi Lopez, a very, very quick driver, currently in 3rd and only 0.003 of a second off of Kavy up in front of him.
All right, anybody else on a good lap here? A bunch of our leaders don't look like they're doing so hot on that end from what I can tell. Having trouble trying to find just that little bit more here late on in the qualifying. Lopez, who we're following right now, looks to be, if I'm seeing correctly, almost a 1.5 seconds off of his best time in this session. So not likely going to do much, even though he is going to pull a nice slipstream from Alders in front of him. Alders himself is about a 1/10 up, so a good shot here as long as he gets the Le Mans chicane right.
Yeah, and Alders started off very, very strong, looked very, very bold in practice. That 27 machine looking very quick, but it just looks like here during qualifying, the iRacing Netherlands driver not really able to string it all together. Little bit wide there on the chicane. You can take that and not lose too much time, but you really want to be a little bit closer, run over that yellow portion of the curbing.
This is Alder's second ever season here in the SDC. Wound up 27th in 2021. So definitely room for improvement. Let's see if he's going to be able to improve here on this lap. And it's going to be very tight if my timing is showing correctly, all the way down onto the flat through the tri-oval to shorten the run. It is a better lap at 58.9. And that's up to 11th ahead of Sander.
All right, so he'll be pretty pleased with that to be able to move his way up the order. The 27 doing a good job. I gotta think, though, if he was able to tuck up behind it in draft, he'd be able to get even faster.
And Danin Zvedanov bumped himself up to the second row last time across, and looks like he may have had a little contact there coming into the international horseshoe. If so, that's going to delete this last final lap. In fact, 10 seconds left. Anybody else going to be able to start one last one? Looks like Backus might just cross in time. No, time runs out for him, and he is through with his qualifying, does not improve. Looks like Ellett did go quicker. He goes up to 6 with this last one, so the 2 is into row 3.
All right, waiting for some more drivers to cross over the line here. Looking at Chaz Draycott to see if he's got anything. I don't believe he does. They are going to stay put. The next driver to cross over the line is going to be Sousa. And there you see on your screen, that's the number 3 of Chaz Draycott coming through the tri-oval now.
Sousa just going to come into the pits, not happy with how that lap is going. No pit stops in this series. It is a straight sprint through. And Puttenstein going to be the next one across in the 23. It's only one timed lap to his name. Is this going to be better? Yes, a 59.6 is about 0.3 improvement. That'll put him up to 22nd.
All right, so the Dutch driver will be very, very happy with that. Looks like next driver to cross over the line will be Javi Lopez, but he is running in an island unto himself here, and he's not going to get any benefit of the draft. I'm not seeing any green sectors, so I do not think this will be a quick time for him.
Looks like he's going to wrap it up. No, he's going to park it. Pulls it down to pit lane. Jerhus and Kavisto close to one another. Now, Callie already has the pole position, but he's got a nice run here in the slipstream. So he could maybe extend that gap over anybody else that has eyes on trying to snatch that from him. Jerhus does not improve, and Kavisto does not either.
All right, so Kavisto still going to be pretty happy to be starting on pole as we watch the number 12 here finishing up their lap. I see Rantanen coming across, no improvement there from him. Now we have the 14th place of Backus coming through. Looks like he is going to pull it off and come down pit lane.
I think David Geddes, maybe our last one. Yes, he is going to be our last one to cross. No, he has taken the checkered flag already. That means everybody is done here in our qualifying, and it's time to head through our starting order today. With Kavisto taking the pole this time. Last time he was on the front row, and he's done one better. Kevany will be in second next to him. It's Xavi Lopez in the third position. Lodanin Zvetanov in fourth place as Chaz Draycott will start from fifth. Michael Ellett, who was on the pole last week out, will start from sixth. Tom Daly, P7, last week's winner. Aaron McGrath will be P8. Then you've got Stefan Alderding in ninth and Scott Angelo rounding out your top 10.
Starting off in 11th, it's going to be Patrick Alders, followed by Xander Ware with Jacob Szymanski and Emanuela Backus there in 14th. Nuno Sousa will be 15th, followed by Willem van Russell with James Austin and Brett Ride behind them. Victor Oliveira will be 19th, and Mackenzie Mann lines up in 20th.
Bruno Albino will be in the 21st position. Peter Reed starts 22nd. Enrico Puttenstein starts 23rd today. Pedro Marimon, P24, followed by David Geddes in at 25th, and Leif Djurhuus 26. After that, you've got Alvaro Rodriguez on the inside of the next row. Gavin Dresser next to him. Sven Dalemans will be starting 29th, and Kalle Rantanen will be 30th.
In 31st, it's going to be Arturo Devia, followed by Rene Zegelaar, with Robert van de Heuvel in 33rd and Timo Pahia in 34th. Leon Voorders will be 35th, and Rene Ware will round out your field.
Those of you who tuned in last week or just regulars of the series, just a heads up, this is going to be a rolling start instead of a standing start. The banking of Daytona makes it a little awkward for these MX-5s to try and get going, especially those who are going to start from inside that tri-oval portion. There you see them. And when they take off, you even see the cars will just kind of drift down a little bit on the banking. The tri-oval doesn't even have the steepest compared to the NASCAR 3 and 4 portion that they'll run through. But there you can see just how much banking is in the start-finish line. So they're going to start behind the Porsche pace car, just get a rolling start, and they'll be on their way. And everything else for the race today will be as normal, as we will run a 13-lap race, and we'll see who comes out the victor after this is said and done. So a chance to try and get the tires into their working temperature for our drivers as they will plunge down into the first corner. Hopefully we get everybody through there, even though we do have quite a bit of runoff to the outside. They will certainly have to try and be safe with everybody kind of scrunched together at the start into that siphoning first turn here, DJ.
Yeah, for sure. It is a very, very tricky corner to get right when you are just hot lapping by yourself and you add having to check up for the drivers in front of you. It's going to add a whole nother level of difficulty here for these drivers in these MX-5s. The brakes on these cars, they're good, but they're not exactly as responsive as, say, that in a prototype. So you've got to really anticipate what's going to happen, really anticipate backing up that braking zone before you start to get onto the binders. It's really going to make for some challenges here, and you can see just how quickly they are coming around here, really hustling behind that pace car. That's going to be good for the tires.
Yeah, Cavisto, our champion last season, was followed home in the points by Ellett, and they locked out the front row last time out, but looks like they will have no such luck this time with Kevany alongside instead, racing for Simtech Racing this season. Other teammate on that positive Delta Motorsport is Kalle Rantanen, a little bit farther down the order today, a little bit spread out as you see the temperatures, a handy 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 27 Celsius for metric, folks, and not much wind as well out on the track. That'll be handy for these light little cars.
Yes, it will. And that 80 degrees is just on the cool end of that sort of Goldilocks zone that we like to talk about. So it's good that these drivers have this warm-up lap to get their tires up to temperature. They're probably dragging the brakes a little bit, maybe a little bit of weaving to just scrub off any excess rubber that has been picked up, but they are definitely going to get going.
Okay, so the Porsche pace car will release them soon. And a reminder, it is the bumpy version here of this track. So it's the old scan data that they had from 2006 that the drivers will be racing on before the repave, which is still weird to me to think that it was a decade ago that they repaved this thing. Meanwhile, here we go. Cavisto is getting ready to take control of the fields. There goes the pace car. He holds them. Now the green flag rolls, and is a bad start for Kevany to the outside. He gets a little bit jumped down to the inside of him. Lopez already going to take that second place away. Zvetanov trying to go around the outside, but he doesn't have the speed. 3 wide for third. Down into the first corner. They're going to make contact, and they're going to swing back across. Zvetanov gets held up. That almost looked like that was Ellett as well. Another car gets spun to the inside. Everybody else scatters to try and pick their way through.
And pretty much everybody's successful on that, but crucially, one of those drivers that was off was Chaz Draycott, who's second in your championship standings right now. So he is going to have it all to do here. I'm seeing a couple of other drivers falling down through the field right now. But up front, Cavisto continues to lead. Lopez there, and Daly, your points leader, up into third.
I can confirm Elliott was one of those caught up. I think Alvaro Rodriguez, another one as well. So a number of people who were held up. Thankfully, I don't think it was race ending for anybody. It was a relatively slow speed incident for most involved. We come back onto the oval for the first time, and it is Cavisto leading Lopez with Daly, winner from last week, currently holding down third place. Oh, and behind them, a big moment for Alderding, who spins off the course.
Massive moment there for him. He is just falling down the orders 18th, 19th, 20th as he tries to get back going on that very slippery grass there. Already down in 22nd. This is a terrible start for the iRacing Netherlands driver.
Nearly made contact with somebody. I think it may have been Scott Angelo that just squeaked by. Yeah, it was Scott Angelo in the 14. We'll try and take a look at that later. In fact, he had to go through the grass just to keep from getting hit. Meanwhile, as we watch the battle for second, Lopez on the bottom side in the yellow, the blue and white is Tom Daly up top. Can he make it back-to-back wins to kick this thing off? He seemed a bit beside himself for that win last week. What a shocker and a fairy tale start to the season it would be if he can get this. And that looks like Lopez maybe backing out of things there, and that will be P2 for the 67.
And I think that was a little bit of forced backing off from Lopez. He thought about trying to go down onto the flat section of the apron, but the car wanted to run up the track a little bit, and that caused the car to get very, very squirrely, and so he had to back out of it or face losing control of the car. Big battle coming in the back here. This is Scotty Angelo, Patrick Elders, Jacob Szymanski, Sander Ware, a big scrum for P4.
Yeah, this goes pretty much all the way back down to Van Rassel in 11th before you get any sort of break amongst them. Little look to the inside, nothing doing. Breaking down into 4 here in the infield section. No taking the kink flat out like normal. It's a rather quick chicane, and then running backwards through the western horseshoe on the inside portion of it as they all once again get onto the binders. And now they swing back onto the oval once again, but it looks like Angelo's able to pull himself away a little bit.
Yeah, just able to get a little bit of a gap here over Alders. That's a good thing for him. He'll buy himself some breathing room. But the real crucial corner here is Le Mans. You really can't get that good of a run going down into the chicane, but you need to get the right one off of it. So Alders here may need to back it up a little bit. Just try to plant that power down. Misses that apex again, though. Runs very wide.
That's got to be a slowdown penalty, I would think. No, amazingly, I'm not seeing one on his screen right now, unless he's already somehow managed to serve it. Szymanski is going to be able to get through. Behind him looks like Ware and Oliveira are going to be battling side by side with multiple cars pairing off using that slipstream.
Yes, they are. And the side draft can come into play just a little bit here as we've got a pass for the lead. Tom Daly trying to go around the outside of Cavisto.
Love the ambition from Tom Daly. Gonna see if he can get the lead and maybe take back-to-back wins. He is by the fin. So Cavisto slots into second. Lopez not able to take advantage of that. Look at how much distance they put between themselves and Angelo in the meantime, and that battle behind them still is all kinds of fun.
Yeah, the big winner there out of that was Jacob Szymanski, who was really able to push his way forward. That's a very late move in the back there. I believe that was Sander Ware going for it.
I think that was Oliveira, yeah, on the inside of Ware. Was able to hold him off, though, and unfortunately just not enough of a run down to 4. Behind them, holy cow, big dive in, and oh, we got more action coming off of the International Horseshoe. Merrimon with Brett, on the inside of Albino. Albino is able to break deeper into 4, holds him back.
Holds him back well, so this battle's going to continue. That's the 23. They're getting very, very squirrely as we watch this battle continuing to rage on. That's Putenstein trying to hold off the 64 of Albino, but Albino trying to carry momentum, but has to check himself up. He's going to be a little bit offline for this chicane.
Don't need a replay on it, but Brett Ride had a little bit of a punt from Chaz Draycott that sent him off And Draycott continued on. So we head back onto the back stretch once again, coming down toward Le Mans, looking for the braking marker here. And up ahead of them, that is Ellett as well on a recovery drive after being involved in that opening incident, kind of in no man's land. There he is right there in the number 2, trying to be caught by Puttenstein and Albino. In fact, I think we have maybe just a little bit of time. Can we take a look at that opening incident potentially? No, maybe not, because it looks like Cavisto is going to come back around the outside of Daly. Is this going to be the modus operandi for this race? Just swapping the lead back and forth, down hard into the first turn. And Daly still has the inside, the desired apex coming off the corner. The battle continues wheel to wheel down through the chicane into the International Horseshoe, giving enough space to the outside, which becomes the inside now for Cavisto. And he is back up to the point.
That is some aggressive driving for both Cavisto and Daly. Daly not wanting to wait around for this. Normally we see in this race a lot of drivers wanting to back off, do a little bit of swapping back and forth and letting the other driver go into turn 1. Not here today, as Callie Cavisto and Tom Daly absolutely want to lead.
My goodness, this has been fun stuff up at the front. We saw that last week as well. Nobody wants to just sit around and slipstream behind their rival or even their teammate. This time, definitely straight up rivals between these two. So coming out onto the back stretch, this is a pretty decent run from Daly, but he goes all the way out to the outside. Defensive move from the Finn, drifts back across, and looks like he is going to be safe into Le Mans this time. Let's take another quick glance now. I think we got a real quick opportunity to check out that replay before they start using that draft once again on the front stretch. There is Vedanov. Goes around the outside and unfortunately is going to make contact as they go 3 wide, and that just causes a chain reaction.
And there you can see it. Draycott really left with nowhere to go. That gets collected, and then that little hit into Zvetanov there, just forcing everybody out and wide. A very much, we talked about how you get stacked up coming into turn 1, Joe, and that's exactly what can happen. Drivers trying to get on the binders to give as much space as possible to everybody around them, but just not enough tarmac to be able to get slowed down.
I have another incident here. Whoa! That was a very close moment between 2 of our drivers, and unfortunately not able to get back and straight in time. So let's see, trying to figure out who that is. The 68. That is Dresser, who had that incident and gets another little shove, I think, from Zvetanov from behind. Oh, speaking of which, Sousa has had a problem coming through the International Horseshoe. Side-to-side contact with Backus.
Yeah, and that'll definitely slow them down a little bit here. They are back. Is Sousa dropping all the way down to 11th. Backus able to hold on to 9th right now.
In the meantime, we missed another pass from Daly for the lead. Another easy slipstream pass. Cavisto falls back into 3rd, and looking at some fights into, I think, the Western Horseshoe here as we jump back to our front runners and trying to break that slipstream as best he can. Tom Daly sees the writing on the wall. He knows that unless he finds a way to get far enough away from Callie, this is just going to repeat ad nauseum.
Yeah, he has got to try to break this draft. He needs to build that gap up to about a second and a half. Right now it sits at about 0.7 of a second, and so that means that Cavisto's going to be able to get a nice tow of that from that car, from that 67 up in front of him.
There's no fuel saving to worry about. As I mentioned earlier, there's no pit stops in this race. It's all just a sprint to the finish, down to the inside. And interestingly, Cavisto does not follow, but looks like Lopez wants to. Lopez says, if you're not going to take it, I am. He flies up forward 130 miles an hour before they finally get onto the brakes. He doesn't get to the lead, but he does get into 2nd as we got a car coming back from pit lane. Rodriguez, I think after taking his spare car, is onto the track, and it looks like, thankfully, he won't interrupt this.
No, he'll be able to stay back. It could present a little bit of a problem for the drivers behind him in that big, long train, but he should be able to stay out of the way. Yeah, he's going to get out of the way there of Szymanski, where Alders, he's just going to take to the off track there to make sure that he's not going to get in the way of anybody.
And eventually he's going to find his way back onto the track as Szymanski, Ware, Alders, and Oliveira all trying to find their way up into that 5th position. Little check up there through the chicane that crunched them together briefly. Ware able to hold on to 6th, trying to catch up to Szymanski. Let's see if he can get the run here as they get ready to fly back onto the backstretch.
Ware looking at it like he's got to be very, very defensive here. Alders had a little bit of a mistake a lap ago, and that's what's forced him down the order here to this position. So he's clearly got some more speed. Oh, big kerfluffle in the back.
This is down into the Western Horseshoe once again. I see Albino involved. Looks like Rodriguez as well. And it's, wow, my goodness, this is now creating a mess. Draycott trying to go around McGrath as they come onto the oval. Draycott catching a little bit of the grass, but makes it stick. And that is Kevany that we see involved, chasing on Alderding. They all spread out, fanning out as they have plenty of room to race here. And then it's going to accordion back together down to the inside. Alderding much later on the brakes as Puttenstein does not fight it.
No, does not. A lot of damage there to it. Oh, car off in the back. I think that's Geddes there that got a little bit squirrely coming through the Le Mans chicane.
A lot of action here today as we come back to the 36 once again. Now through the oval portion and into the tri-oval. Let's see who's braver on the brakes amongst these two. This is Alderding to the inside. Kevany in the silver and black on the outside. Had a little bit of momentum, but now with it being a longer way around here, coming into the first turn. Wow, sending it deep. Can he get the car woed up? Yes, he can. The 6th at least gets him back up to 21st. But remember, Joseph started on the front row today and was involved in that opening incident that we saw the replay for.
Yeah, he was. So he clearly has much more speed than these cars around him. But, you know, as we often say here, catching is one thing, passing is another. And it's a little bit of a terrifying prospect to think about what could have happened for Joseph had he not had that first lap incident with that kind of bravery coming through turn 1.
Watching the 19. Had a car off track in front of him. That's Austin, I think, that lost a couple spots there. In fact, he's still side by side as Sousa gets one more. So Sousa back to 3 positions up from where he started. 12th place after that overtake, started from 15th. All in line now up into Le Mans. Peter Reed behind them, giving watch along with Mackenzie Mann. Nobody poking their nose out into the chicane and heading into the NASCAR 3 and 4 portion. This is going to be a great run from Austin. Should be able to at least get this position back here.
I would think he would be able to, as he's going to poke his nose to the outside there of that 65 of Sousa as they get running around. Oh, Joe, we are Noah's Ark going into the first turn for P1.
Oh, around the outside, Cavisto gets shoved a little bit wide by Lopez, and now Angelo has caught up to them, using that draft to just pull up and enjoy the fun, but he doesn't make an overtake. So now Lopez back into P2, but it is Daly leading.
Yes, it was, and that was a quick shot there of Xander Ware, we believe, the 7 that had a little bit of an off track there.
And he had some help, unfortunately, contact both with Alders and with Szymanski on his way into the corner. Bit of a pinball, that one.
And that can happen there in these MX-5s, as we've talked about. So hard to get them slowed up correctly if you start to get a little bit offline. These are really rhythm cars. There's a lot of momentum that comes in it. If you get yourself a little bit sideways, it can be very, very difficult to recover from.
Watching the leaders one more time. Daly still has the point, and he's been able to hold it for the time being. Now, last time out, Tom Daly kind of inherited the lead and found himself basically surviving as those who were faster in front of him could not keep out of trouble. This time, not quite as much that sort of situation. He did qualify in 7th, and yes, he had to kind of pick up some spots that others found themselves losing by their own misfortune. But as we watch on board now with Kavisto, this seems like sheer pace out of the 67. The others have not been able to catch him yet.
No, they certainly haven't, and that gap is coming down here, although we may get a little bit of a slipstream battle here between Lopez and Kavisto. Oh, look behind them. Here comes Scotty Angelo wanting to get into the mix.
Lopez with a great run. As you said last time, Noah's Ark 2x2 down to the corner, but Daly is going to go very deep into turn 1. So is Angelo. He manages now to get up into 2nd place. Lopez under threat from Kavisto, who wants to try and get some track position as they head into the International Horseshoe. He's going to be covered off by the yellow and white number 9.
Yes, he is. So that's Lopez chopping that down a little bit. And Joe, this is the part of the race where you start to count backwards. I genuinely think here that Tom Daly may let the lead go here to be able to stay behind, because I do not think, unless you have about a 7/10 of a second to 1 second advantage coming off of Le Mans, you do not want to be leading on this last lap.
I agree, but we don't know how many of these drivers have experienced this style of racing as well. How familiar are they with how important the slipstream is? So the Wampy car of Tom Daly has been doing a great job fending them off up to this point. We're going to be 4 to go at the line. And this has been some great pace from this quartet up at the top, because Zemansky is the next one down. He's almost 7 seconds behind them.
Well, and I want to give a highlight here to Scotty Angelo. He was about 3 or 4 seconds behind this battling trio and was able to catch it back up. So clearly there's a lot of speed in that 14, as now he tucks behind the draft of Tom Daly. I think Angelo's going to have a move for the lead here.
Yep, this is going to be the first in a while that we've seen starting attacking this early on. He goes way up to the high side, and he loses his momentum. Now he shoots down off of the banking. That actually might have been a great move from the 14 car. Gets a nose ahead. Job's not done, though. Braking into the first turn. Who has got more guts? It looks like as they start to hit the binders, they're almost even, but it once again favors the inside, and Tom Daly fends him off.
Looking for a little bit of the crossover there was Angelo, but Daly wise to that attack, able to cut that off. Now he's going to come back on another crossover down to the inside of the International Horseshoe. Banging doors, Angelo sideways, but able to hold it out, and he's going to take the lead.
I mentioned last time Tom Daly survived with a little bit of cleanliness, and well, he's starting to discover when you're up at the front, it's hard to stay out of trouble sometimes. Thankfully, both of them able to come away without turning the cars around. But does he start to get his elbows out from here?
I think he has to. I think Scotty Angelo has thrown the gauntlet down here and really wants to try to get his way forward.
Out of the Western Horseshoe, swinging back to the right, one more dip off to the left, and then they hit the back stretch, continue to pull away from Zemansky, who is about 7.5 seconds behind, also having some connection issues, so not sure what's going on there. Sounds like we had an issue for the 30 of Van Rassel. Check that out in a little bit. Breaking into Le Mans chicane, if I can get that one out. 0.6 of a second ahead. Daly should be able to start to reel Angelo back in from here.
He should, and it looks like he's been able to get that part of the draft right now. That gap coming down underneath 0.4 of a second. It's going to be a little bit farther back than Angelo was to Daly on the last time, but that may work out to his advantage if he can catch him just at the right part of the tri-oval here. There's the little zip around for Tom Daly.
Up to the high side. Before, he proved to be pretty handy down into this first turn off the banking. Let's see what he's got this time around the outside. Last time he had the advantage. Oh, Oh, and unfortunately, almost contact. In fact, there is contact between the first three. And there goes Cavisto on by. Lopez is able to collect himself and keep going. But Angelo and Daly are sent to third and fourth.
And both of those cars, I would have to imagine, are struggling with a little bit of damage here. There's not any fenders hanging off of the cars, thankfully. But, oh, my goodness.
That started from Lopez just going in too far into the first turn, could not stop it, and collected P1 and P2.
Indeed, as they are all sent off and sent packing here, and that's really going to separate out the gaps as Cavisto now has about a 1 second gap over Lopez. That is just going to be within draft range for Lopez, but he is going to have to hustle as we check out the replay.
I started to see that coming from the background, and I worried about that, and with good reason. Unfortunately, oh man, and a secondary hit there for Angelo trying to go around the outside. Eventually they get rolling, but that was not going to help them try and stay in the hunt for the lead because they're about 2 seconds back now. Yeah, once he hit that grass, didn't seem like Lopez could do much to stop it. One driver who's been making a good job of getting back in the hunt is Michael Ellett. Remember, he was sent way down to the back. He's all the way up into 8th. He started from 6th in this race. Not too shabby. In fact, I think he's got another one. Yep, this is Oliveira just in front of him. Let's see if this is easy pickings.
He should be able to easily get by him here. Just going to tuck up behind in the draft. We've seen what can happen if you swing out a little bit wide here at the exit of the tri-oval and then run the car down the track. That's exactly what he's doing here. Able to get that good run, and Ellett should be up into 7th if he's a little bit later on the binders.
Right now, he's not fully ahead, though. But like you said, it seems like he's been a fair bit faster than a lot of drivers, but not necessarily faster than Oliveira right now. He's going to have to duck back underneath, catches a little bit of the grass on the inside. Job not done yet for the 2.
No, he's going to have to keep working on it. Going to try to go around the outside of the International Horseshoe. He's going to be able to carry momentum, but that inside line is going to favor Oliveira there, and he'll be able to keep him at bay for now.
Had some fantastic racing, but we are now getting down towards the end. It's going to be the white flag pretty soon. And because of the incident between Daly and Angelo, it looks like it's going to be a 2-car fight. As we had an incident here out of the International Horseshoe.
Yes, we did. That's Joseph Ganimi there having a little bit of problems, I think.
And not sure if he had some help, but whatever the case, that sent him down to 20th position. Okay, so in your mind's eye, DJ, if you're Cavisto, you're going to be vulnerable. It is about, oh wow, it's up to 1.5 seconds there for a brief moment. Is Lopez maybe struggling with some damage?
I think he is, Joe. He lost a lot of time coming through 6, 7, and 8. That's a very, very tricky medium speed section on the circuit, and you really see him lose out some time. Yeah, he is struggling with big damage. Massive, massive speed difference there. Lopez may not even be safe to stay on the podium the way he's going.
Yeah, Daly's catching, he's catching at a high rate of knots, and Angelo as well. They are both through. Yeah, I don't see how he could fight back on that one. But this leaves a wide open door for our current reigning champion on the final lap now. Cavisto with 1 to go in the number 1 car and a 3.7 second lead.
And unless he makes a mistake, knock on all of the wood that you have if you are a fan of Cali Cavisto, this is almost unassailable for him at this point. He is out of draft range. He has got this plugged up.
Watching Daly, seeing what he could do with Angelo here. And after the first round, Cavisto was only 23rd last race. So this will be a huge jump in the points for him if he holds it together. Daly experiencing a lot of pressure from Angelo. Down into the Western Horseshoe they go. And this is where it'll be difficult for him to try and play defense on that number 14, knowing that the slipstream will just easily allow him to gather him up and probably pass him.
Probably will, running it very, very wide there. You see that defensive line from Tom Daly trying to cut off the draft as much as possible, going down into Le Mans. That's a heads-up play for him, but more momentum around the outside for his Angelo.
But we've seen today what can happen if you try to go too wide through Le Mans. Thankfully, that is not the case here. But Angelo waiting patiently behind, and he's got a great run. This might be a slam dunk as long as he doesn't pass too early. We got to remember, you can accidentally give the slipstream back. Oh, a bit of defensive moves, some blocking there from Tom Daly trying to interrupt the momentum from Angelo. But we got to go to Cavisto, who is going to finally get his first win of the season in round 2 and start his run to defend his championship.
A great run there for Cavisto to take the flag, and behind him, who's it going to be at the line? Oh my goodness! That was Tom Daly by the...
Just a thousandth or two between Daly and Angelo. Lopez could only watch as his slow car followed in behind, and it looks like Oliveira in a fight with Ellett and Alders. That one went to Alders, who finished in 6th. Nice recovery up a number of positions from where he started. Ellett only able to get to 7th, and 1 down from where he began. Everybody trying to use that slipstream to the line, knowing that it could get them valuable positions here. But I don't see any more that are in a fight except for Puttenstein and Paja.
And this is the two of them right there. Puttenstein looking like he's got a pretty good run. He's going to take it up to the outside here, try to run that car down the track as much as possible. He's got a nose ahead. Does Paja have anything to respond with? He's going to try to take anything away. I don't think he's got it. It's going to be Puttenstein.
Unfortunately, at the end there, it just wasn't on. So that's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. We had an emphatic win for Cali Cavisto in the second round of the Sunday Drivers' Cup. It looks like his teammate's going to join him for a bit of a photo opportunity at the Tri-Oval. Tom Daly followed him home in second place as Scott Angelo finished in third. It's Xavi Lopez, P4 today, and Jacob Zemansky up from 13th to 5th out there. Patrick Alders, 11th to 6th for him. Michael Ellett starting in 6th, but the number 2 could only manage 7th after he got a little bit collected in other people's issues in the first corner. Victor Oliveira was 8th, 9th. How about this for Patrick Reed, 22nd to P9, and then Sousa wounds up the top 10.
Coming home in 11th, it was James Austin, followed by Mackenzie Mann with Xander Ware and Amanula Bacchus in 14th. Aaron McGrath was 15th, followed by Pedro Marimon with Chaz Dracon and Joseph Kevany behind them. Bruno Albino was 19th, and Sven Dallemans rounds out your top 20.
After that, 21st went to Gavin Dresser. Stefan Alderding was in 22nd. Kalle Rantanen in 23rd. Not going to be able to contribute a lot to his team points there. Jordan and Zvedanov finished 24th after starting 4th today. Bad day for him. Puttenstein was 26th, and Timo Paya in the 27th spot. Leon Vorders, 28th. Brett Ride at 29th, top 30, rounded out by Davila.
31st was David Geddes, followed by Rene Zegelar with William Van Russell and Alvaro Rodriguez behind them. Robert Van de Heuvel was 35th, and Rene Ware rounds out your field.
It looks like we've got our winner ready to talk to us, Callie Cavisto, here joining us post-race. And Callie, congratulations. We were talking a lot as the race was progressing about how you play that last lap, where you want to be. In the end, that wasn't even a concern. That had to have been a huge relief when you found yourself alone at the white flag.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, at one point I realized that I need to do something differently. Like, it's not my time to strike right now, so I was just following the guys, and I knew at one point I maybe need to do something like attack or something, but it turned out that I didn't have to.
Well, this gets things kicked off on a little bit of a better foot compared to the first round at Silverstone. Is this your start to a title defense this season?
Yeah, I was really like disappointed in myself after the last race, because the last thing I want to do is to take somebody out, and then I took my teammate out, so that's not good. But yeah, tonight was very good, and I knew that getting a pole position, it's only a matter of track position, honestly, but one extra point, that's very good. But yeah, I'm very happy about this result.
Got a bit of a break now until we get to the next round, and it's back to a very tiny track like we saw in the first one with Oulton Park, the Foster's layout. How do you feel about heading off to that? Do you prefer tracks like that really don't offer much in the way of slipstream?
Yeah, I like that, how do you say, like old school racing tracks like Silverstone, Oulton Park, and tracks like that. Those are quite nice. But then again, I got my first win last year in Daytona, Charlotte, and now I got my first win this year here in Oval, so I guess I should just stick with this.
Yeah, a bit of a Dale Jr. here in the Sunday Drivers' Cup. Congratulations. Anybody you want to thank for today's victory?
Yeah, I want to thank my teammate Michael Elet and just you guys. I watched the stream last week, and this is like a top quality stuff, so I can't wait to watch it back. And of course, Sandovare for organizing the league. So that's about it.
That was Callie Cavisto, our winner today, and second place behind him was Tom Daly with a close one. DJ has caught up with him.
Well, Tom, it was a good run out there for you, and it seemed like victory was within your grasp. Are you satisfied with the P2, or do you want some more?
Oh, everyone wants some more, but P2 is some good points on the board, so I won't throw those away.
Talk to me a little bit about that contact that you had going down into that first corner with Xavi and Scotty there. It looked like just a little bit of miscommunication all the way around, but you were able to at least avoid it and keep going forward and avoid major damage.
I picked up a fair bit of damage from it, but I was able to drive through it, luckily enough. To be honest, not watching the replay back, I'm not entirely sure what happened. One moment I was on the outside line with, I think, was it Calais or Scott on the inside, and next minute I was facing the wrong direction, so not entirely sure what happened there.
Well, you're able to get yourself forward, and I think this is going to put you pretty firmly in the lead of the championship for sure at this point. So as we go along through the series, are you keeping an eye on that final trophy, or are you kind of playing this out week to week?
Like anything, there's plenty of races left. This is early days. I'm going to keep my head down and keep putting in laps, trying to get a high finish every race I can. I'm going to take every race by race. It's not over till it's over, regardless. Whether you're fourth, second, third, fourth. The race is very much to play for every time.
Well, I think that's probably the best attitude to have going forward, Tom. But a second place today, nothing to shake a stick at. Anybody you'd like to thank?
I thank everyone at Wampy Motorsports and all my friends and family back at home.
Well, thank you so much. That was your second place finisher here today, Tom Daly. And now I believe, Joe, you've caught up with Jacob Szymanski.
Indeed, Jacob finishing fifth today after starting from 13th. And let's talk about the opening lap of the race. Did you kind of anticipate that there'd be some problems into turn one? Because you threaded the needle.
I was completely expecting that at least top 5 to at least one crash, given the story of the league. Unfortunately, the MX-5 is kind of a car that's very prone to accidents, so I just looked out for anything that could happen ahead of me. And by some miracle, I managed to avoid them all.
So the Zan Show SimSport Mamba team picking up some good points with you today out there. When it comes to the team's championship versus the drivers' championship, do you weight one more than the other, or are you more focused on one?
No, not really. To be honest, I'm here to have fun. I like the car, I like the format of the league, I like the people here. So getting points is somewhere there for me in the background, but I mostly focus about the racing itself. It's just something pleasurable to do on the sunny evening. But if I had to choose, it's more of a team, because I have a great teammate and we just aim for the best. And I know he's quicker than me. Unfortunately, he had an accident today. So if it were me or him, I would probably let him pass.
That's understandable. All right, then. Well, give us a prediction next time out when we head off to Oulton Park. You've now ticked off the top 5. Can you get a podium?
That'll be very difficult. We have some amazingly quick drivers on the grid today. Daytona is very draft heavy, and I managed to do it to my advantage in some places. But on Oulton, you need kind of different skill set that many drivers on the grid have, and I'm not really good with. So I'd be happy to repeat the same place, maybe even the top 10, but podium, I don't think it's my reach. I'll do my best. I'll try to reach it, but it'll be difficult, if I'm completely honest.
I like the attitude, though. Is just keep trying your best, keep pushing to see what's possible. Well, again, congratulations on that top 5. Anybody you want to shout out to before we let you go?
Every driver in the league, of course, because they are those drivers are what makes the league happen. You guys for getting really good broadcast of the stream. I was impressed by the level of professionalism of it. And yeah, Xander, to the league administrator who keeps the herd together and stops us from crashing into each other and making it all burn.
All right, that was Jacob Szymanski, our 5th place finisher here today. His teammates, unfortunately, Chaz Draycott, not having as good of a day. DJ has caught up with him.
I have indeed, Chaz. A really, really promising start to the race that kind of fell apart very, very quickly. Talk me through your emotions.
I'm very frustrated, to be honest with you. It's the worst finish I've had in this series since I started. I think until the last race of 2021, I've been on the podium in every single race. I've always had the pace to be up there at the front. This time, though, unfortunately, there was just too much of a tight squeeze between me and Joe. It was a bit 50-50. I've had a look back on it. I hit the dirt on the inside to make sure that I gave the guys on the outside enough room, but Joe also had Pedro, I think it was, on his right-hand side, so he had to squeeze inside as well. I think we were both at fault in different ways there, and we got away quite luckily with it, to be fair, because the second hit was really big. I think we got away lucky as well that the rest of the field didn't completely pile in behind, but from there, I just couldn't go anywhere. I had the pace to get in front of people on the infield, but the slipstream kept people like Aaron right with me the whole way through, and Aaron was such a thorn in my side for that race. We moved forward together through the whole thing, but yeah, I only gained a few places there. So to go from having my worst result as a 4th to then it suddenly be a 17th is incredibly frustrating.
Well, how do you regather? I mean, obviously, we've got a little bit of time off before we head to Oulton Park. Is that going to be a track that suits you a little bit more? Anything you're going to be able to do to kind of refocus and get back to your winning and podium ways?
Well, Alton Park is my local, actually. I live about 9 miles from the place. I absolutely adore Alton Park, favourite circuit in the world. And to be honest, I've got so many laps around there on all the configurations as well, as you can imagine. So I hope it'll go pretty well there. I had an epic battle in my debut in the series. I got invited to do the last round in 2020, and I raced against Dan Mould there, and the two of us were door-to-door the whole time and ended up winning the race on my debut, but I'm not sure. It's certainly stepped up even more of a level since then, so this could be a tough one, I reckon.
Well, we're looking forward to it as hopefully we've got some good, clean battles that go on there, Chaz. But anybody you want to thank for your run today?
Zancho Simsport, as ever, Silverstone Composites and Simply Race, their sponsors, and Abruzzi as well. Abruzzi have really spoilt me this week in sending me some gloves, and 3 pairs of gloves, in fact, the karting ones, their Sim Superlights as well, and something else which I've not told anybody about yet that might be on my social media in the next few days. And you guys as well. You know, it's been great to have you guys come on board with the championship this season. First broadcast was phenomenal. Really, really good stuff. It was great to see sort of different camera angles that, you know, I haven't used or other broadcasters haven't used before. And it's been a real breath of fresh air for the championship as well. So thank you to you guys on that one.
Well, we are more than happy to do it. That was Chaz Dracott, your 17th place finisher here today. Joe?
That's going to wrap us up. So we once again want to thank our sponsor for the channel, Majors Garage. Make sure and check them out at majorsgarage.com and use our special discount code MajorsGSRC for 10% off. All you got to do is click our link in the description below. Thanks to the Sunday Drivers Club for bringing us on for this championship. This has been a blast to watch. And of course, thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out our Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. And check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storeenvy.com. There's a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. And as we mentioned, heading back across the pond to Alton Park for the next one. That'll be Sunday, February 20th at 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll have a little break here. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. And I hope you're ready to go old school because the PRL Cup is heading to North Wilkesboro at 8:30 p.m. Eastern this evening. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.